Hare Krishna. Hope you all had a wonderful Janmashtami. Yes. Mm. And in ISKCON, after Janmashtami, the most important day is Srila Prabhupada's appearance day. The Lord is arranged in such a way that, it comes immediately after his appearance day. That itself speaks that he's his dear devotee. And also, it is giving us an opportunity to give Prabhupada the eminence and prominence that he deserves. Such an exalted, pure devotee of Krishna who has done such wonderful things, who's still doing, of course, and he is the light of our lives. So, everything is arranged by Krishna, and it's giving us an opportunity to meditate. Otherwise, if it was some other day, even the focus may not be so much. But for now, after Janmashtami, when our mood and consciousness are really heightened, awareness of Krishna and wonderful services to him and glorifying him, and then we get the opportunity to glorify his most wonderful devotee, most important devotee. That's really amazing, isn't it? And so Srila Prabhupada, I hope we can, meditate on him because he's the most important person in our lives. And it also, it is also Jagai Madai Day because all the Jagai Madais of Kali Yuga have got a hope today because of taking shelter of Srila Prabhupada. We can all be delivered because who is most compassionate like him? He said, and when the devotee asked Prabhupada, how long it takes to become a pure devotee. In Kali Yuga, imagine we're all expected to become pure devotees, and we're like Jagai and Madai. And Prabhupada himself said, you're all like coal. I keep on washing and washing, still it's black. So we keep on trying to wash our heart, and we see who still long way to go, Prabhupada, how to become a pure devotee. So one devotee asked, how long, Prabhupada, to become a pure devotee? And Prabhupada said, one moment. You do not read my Bhagavad Gita? Prabhupada said, Sarva Dharman Parityajya Mami Kam Sharanam Vraja. Aham Tvam Sarva Papebhyo Moksha Yisyami Masucha. I will release you from all the sinful reactions. Do not fear. So Prabhupada brought Krishna's words into life. He made it so practical that it is all fact. It is not simply lying in the scriptures to be discussed intellectually, something just theoretically, but in our practical life, how to apply it, we don't know. We only are more, we have more faith in the material energy working around us and just, you know, controlling us. And we don't know how to go to that spiritual realm at all. And here Srila Prabhupada comes like the Messiah, who's, so compassionate like Nityananda Prabhu, elevating, giving hope to the most fallen. And his first disciples were all who, they're from the Western countries who really were fallen. And, like maybe not like Jagai and Madai, some of them, of course, came in order to help him in his mission, not, but still, he started from there where, he himself had no hope when he went there. What kind of a place have you brought me to, Krishna? He himself, felt, how am I going to preach in this place? Krishna consciousness, such pure. Krishna consciousness is so pure because Krishna is the topmost, the absolute supreme personality of Godhead, the purest of the pure. And here, we are here in the dungeon, in the dark world, trying to reach out to that supreme Godhead who's so difficult to achieve. How many lifetimes we have failed and failed and failed and not going back to Godhead. We are just rotting here. And in this place, Srila Prabhupada so compassionately came. It is not easy, and only he could do it. He was all alone. alone. And at that time, the world is so materialistic. Nobody had any clue about Sanatan Dharma was at its lowest ebb, and all this industrialization, westernization was at full peak, and all scientific advancement. People were losing faith in God and going towards scientists. And at that time, Krishna waited for the opportune moment, even though his life was only for this. He had to wait for so many years, a lifetime in preparation, right? In the this thing in the Prabhupada Lilamrita, it says the first volume is all about lifetime in preparation for this great mission. At the end of his life, only he did what he was born to do. Until then, lifetime in preparation, not for him. He is a pure devotee, but everything, the situation, the correct time, and also Krishna wanted to show us through the life of his pure devotee how to be an ideal devotee at all times, because suddenly he just comes and says we should be a pure devotee and all that, like Krishna said, and he left. Nobody knew what to do, how to surrender. Then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had to come personally. Krishna had to come as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and show by his example how to be a pure devotee. So similarly, after that, as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, my Senapati Bhakta will again come, to again spread it all over the world. And so Prabhupada also lived amongst us, just like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, to show us through his personal example what it is to be a devotee. Very, very practical. He was, just like in a very, very normal household, in a businessman's family. And from there, I mean, so he did all normal things. He went to school. I mean, he had his brothers, sisters, and so on, and friends. And he was also involved at that time because of the freedom movement. So in the Gandhi's movement. So, but in all these circumstances, he said, I never forgot Krishna, always Krishna conscious. So even though during his college time, because of studies and other responsibilities, his father had given him Radha Krishna deities to worship when he was very small. And he could not do it. But um, I mean, he said, so he was showing how life, I mean, he was not like born in I mean, though he was born in an exalted family, he comes from the parampara of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Nityananda Prabhu's very dear disciple. What is his name? I mean, very great follower. Oh, suddenly, what is the lineage? Um, the Suvarna family, and suddenly it's. Can you just Google what is this?
Suvarna Malik Mataji.
No, that is the family, that devotee from in whose Vamsh Prabhupada is coming. Lineage, I mean, even birth lineage, not. Um, he is very prominent devotee of Nityananda. And he took him to his village, and Nityananda Prabhu really preached over there to all businessmen. He also was a businessman. Um, oh, why there? Always used to
Mataji,
remember.
it's like his forefathers, right? Prabhupada's forefathers, they served Nityanand Prabhu.
Ah,
Yes,
he
yes.
is in the
Okay, I'm just.
Gaudiya Vaishnava. He is a
Okay.
Gaudiya Vaishnava, great follower of Nityananda Prabhu. And in his lineage, that is seminal lineage, Prabhupada appeared, the Suvarnavarnik family. And father also great Vaishnava, pure devotee. Though he was just doing his business and taking care of the family, but it's the consciousness. Even if he used to come back at about very late in the night after 10, I don't know what time, he would take his bath and do his arati to the Lord, and then only eat prasadam. And Prabhupada, recollects how, as a child, he'll be sleeping, and then he would hear his father coming and ringing the bell and worshipping. So they are setting the stage that in any circumstance, everybody's got their family responsibilities, whatever. But if you, even spite of all that, you do it with great sincerity, you never forget to worship Krishna, then that is an offering to Krishna. Every activity that we do is dedicated to Krishna. He brought up his children, uh, everything. Of course, all did not become devotees. Prabhupada and his sister Pishima, they both were great devotees. From childhood, they were together, worshipping Radha Krishna together. The other brother and sister, or the two sisters, or one brother, they were not so much interested. But you see how one can still be a pure devotee. And his father, at that time, even his mother, because all people who were well off or from educated families, they wanted to send their children, not children means sons, to the Western countries for education, to London, sorry, especially to London. And those days, there were not much of engineering and other opportunities. Science was not so well industrial. That was not, technology had not so advanced so much. So mostly they'll go and become lawyers there and come back. So she wanted him to go, but father said, no, I don't want my son to go there and then just learn all the bad habits and come back. I'm happy with whatever he does over here. I want to train him in becoming a pure devotee of Krishna. So see the consciousness. They were living a normal life. Normal in the sense, in the material world, it's normal. But they were all, everything was towards pleasing Krishna, to acting as a pure devotee. And so marriage also. No, before that, when his mother passed away, it was a very sad moment for the father as well as for Srila Prabhupada. He was very attached to his mother. He always says how, a mother also was very attached to him. And she had taken a vow at his birth that, I just for protection of Prabhupada, so that um, nothing should happen to him. She said, I'll start eating only with my left hand. And until the day that my son himself should ask me, why you're eating with the left hand, till then, I'll keep eating. So, that much, she was so much focused on protecting Prabhupada, and so much love she gave him. And he would also spend time watching her cook and all that. And he says he was so surrendered to his mother that once, she would, even well, maybe as a 5 or 6 year old or seven, and she used to dress him up. And once she put the shirt in the wrong way, instead of the button coming in the front, she put it like a girl's dress, the back button. She put it like that. And Prabhupada was still just surrendered. He showed, what was his mood. So, like that, from his childhood, he shares all these small, small things by which we would understand the culture, his mood, his relationships. And so when the mother passed away, it was a big, big, um, catastrophe for Prabhupada, especially. It was very sad. But his father, he said, what to do? This is life. You have to accept it. This is Krishna's desire. So you just accept it. Father, such a great devotee, and showing in the practical moments of life, how we need to take shelter of Krishna and surrender. And after that, when he was going to get married, and father, so those days there was no intermingling much of girls and boys, and completely it's only arranged marriage. So father took it upon himself that, from a good family, his friend, very close friend, and he chose the girl for him. Nothing wrong with her. She is quite okay. I mean, we can see she looks quite pleasant and all that. And she was from a good family. And she was also a devotee of Krishna in the sense, like a materialistic devotee. And so father must have thought, okay, and she served the family. She took care that way as a wife. Prabhupada said she served. There was nothing, no problem. She took care of the family and the in-laws very nicely. So father chose her for him. But then, when after getting married, Prabhupada realized that there were a gulf of difference between them. She was not at all in the mood of Prabhupada. Prabhupada had such love for Krishna. And she was interested in just ordinary matters. So I suppose, you know, this is the so Prabhupada, he was very young and he thought, and those days you could marry again. Bigamy was not like a um, legal this thing. It was not considered illegal. So he thought, and then his friend's sister was there, and probably I don't know whether he spoke to her or met her or whatever, and must have seen that she's very, much more Krishna conscious or something. So because Prabhupada is not somebody who will go just for external beauty. Yeah, so he wanted to have some compatibility, maybe. And he was fixing up, I want to get married, and father came to know of it. And what an understanding father. But he said, you know what, I understand, but it is good, my son, not to be too attached to your wife, because then you have great mission to fulfill in this world. So better you marry her. I mean, be satisfied with whatever Krishna has given you, so that it's very difficult to cut the ties of family life, because it's already predicted, no, at birth only. Astrologers had predicted he's going to take sannyas and go around the world and um, establish 108 temples. So his father believed completely. He thought that I have to prepare my son for that. And that's why Prabhupada said, my father already started preparing me. And the completion was his when he came to his guru, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, who gave him a diksha and gave him further instructions. So father was also his guru, you know, and so he advised him like this, and Prabhupada accepted. So you see, we may have our plans, we may not like certain material things, and we may plan, okay, let me do this, that. But when Krishna puts his word, no, no, don't do like this is better, and we get it not directly. Krishna may not talk every time, through some other people who are responsible for us. His father told him very nicely, and Prabhupada accepted it. So, like that, I mean, then after that, because he was, um, yeah, then during because Gandhi had said that give up all, I mean, don't take degrees from, this universities run by these, and mostly it was all Christian missionaries only were running under the British this thing, under them. So they said boycott, don't take any certificate. So Prabhupada didn't take, and he didn't have a formal certificate even for completing his degree. But still, Krishna arranged that without much difficulty, their family friend gave him a job. And he was very diligent, he did very well, but all the people around him politicking, they all felt very envious. This new person, young boy, is been appointed as the manager. They were all working under, and they were all working for many years, but Prabhupada was bought newly, young person, fresh from college, to be the manager. So they all complained to him, what is this? Why you're putting a new person? They said, see, I have to trust someone to be a manager. You have to trust someone like your son, right? Normally, the if it's a family business, they will always appoint. their own people like that. So he's someone I trust. So that is why. But still, as he was doing very well and all that, there were people were becoming jealous and politics and so on. They tried to put him, false allegations on him. So Prabhupada shifted to Allahabad, though he was working for the Bose laboratory only, Dr. Bose, his family friend. And while talking of medicine, actually, even in his childhood, there's another instance in which we see practical surrender to Krishna. When he was a very small infant, in fact, I don't know how, 1 year old or something, very small, and that time he got a very high fever, and the doctor recommended that he should have chicken soup because he should have enough strength to fight against the sickness. So then, um, I think mother was this thing. So because the doctor said, and as a medicine, it's okay. You can give it to your son. And it was a question of life and death. He was really very high fever. So they brought it and they um, tried to feed it to Prabhupada, but he just threw it up. He couldn't accept it at all. I don't know if they managed to and put it into his mouth. I don't know, whatever. And Prabhupada said, I don't want all these things. I'll depend only on Krishna. And he took his son and kept him near Krishna's lotus feet. And by the next morning, his fever had gone. So you see the practical surrender of always taking shelter of Krishna. And then, of course, then Prabhupada moved to Allahabad. Then after that, he set up, I think even after he was acting as a distributor of Bose Industries, there also, I think he had some problem, because the other workers, the colleagues and all, I think because of that, some problem. So he's resigned from that and he started his own business. And he was doing very well actually in his business. And but so there was hardly any time to do devotional service like really properly. So, but he would still, he had his deities, he was doing, whatever prayers. And he wanted to, and soon after that, actually, even before he went to Allahabad, I think when he was still in Kolkata, that is when he came across his guru, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. And in the very first meeting, before Prabhupada could, I mean, he paid obeisances to him before he could even get up and meet his eyes. The guru had already given him his instructions. He said, you both seem like very educated people. Why don't you go to the West to give Krishna's message? I mean, this is amazing. Why would such an exalted spiritual master, I mean, his friend never did anything after that. He brought Prabhupada to his gurus. That is his credit. He pulled him because Prabhupada was not interested. He had seen so many holy men. He said, I don't want to see another one like that. But he said, no, Narendra, his friend. He said, no, this is different. He's different. And he pulled him and he was pulling him in the road and brought him here. And so in that very first meeting, he had that instruction, go to the West. And Prabhupada just, because it was meant for him, or or rather he was only capable of taking that instruction. He must have told his friend also, but he was not ready for that. Prabhupada took that instruction and he said that he put it in his head. That was the crown he wore all his life. But he thought at this moment, how can I do? I just got married and then I've got children and I have my father to take care and all that. How can I now leave everything and go to the West and all and preach? So he was waiting for the opportune moment. So we see practically, sometimes we may have some material responsibilities and we may have our spiritual services in mind, but we should not think that, you know, Krishna is there helping us. And if we have a sincere desire to serve Krishna, even in those circumstances, somehow If you try to do, then we know that Krishna is preparing us. Whatever, it's not that these obstacles should never try to deter us or feel morose that, oh, Krishna is not helping me. I want to become a devotee. I want to do so many services. In his house, only father was a pure devotee, but his wife, children, no support. But Prabhupada still stayed and he took care of them all the while, whatever possible he was doing. He started writing Back to Godhead magazine, but that was a little later, and distributing. Before that, what he did as a grasta was he came across in Allahabad only, he came across Gaudiya Math sannyasis there. So he would give donations. He would also collect donations from his friends, business friends, and give to the temple. He would invite them to his house and have programs and invite people. So, like this, whatever possible, he was doing. So, the consciousness is most important because he was very good as a grasta. He also did his duty very sincerely. His business means he didn't do haphazardly. That is, in the end, when he lost all interest and he was thinking of more of preaching and all that, that time his business didn't do well. But in the beginning, he did this also as service to Krishna because he thought that this is also my service. He had married. I mean, this is also my responsibility. He didn't think this is all material. Forget it. I will go now. Guru has told me I'm going off to the west. He, I mean, he just surrendered to Krishna and he was doing very, very conscientiously, even this as service to Krishna. So that means even he was going around collecting, because people, you give medicines or supplying, was a distributor also. And so the medicines, he had to collect money back, or even as his own, when he had his own business, I suppose, people take it on credit. And then he had to go and get back those dues. Like that, he had to travel a lot. Everything he did very conscientiously. At the same time, in his heart, because he was thinking of Krishna, even in all those duties, it was not difficult for him to do everyday puja, whatever time, like his father, maybe in the night, or that's okay. But he also supported um, the Gaudiya Math. And so, from his life, we see how um, surrender to Krishna is the most important thing. We don't know what, it's not the externals that matter, it's internally our dedication and our desire to serve Krishna, serve the um, instructions of Guru, wanting to please him within. That is the most important thing. How it will manifest itself, that love for the Guru and for Krishna will manifest definitely. But in Prabhupada's case, we see how how long it took to manifest. That is, that it mm, shows how much Prabhupada had internalized his Guru's instruction. That after so many years, also he never forgot it, and he just left it to Krishna. He was so surrendered. It's not as if he was attached and he said, "No, I can't do much now." It was Krishna who was preparing him through all these, I mean, preparing him um, at the right time to take him there, because there also the scene was getting set, because one generation of prosperity, industrial revolution happened, and so many Americans became very rich, wealthy, and then the next generation, their children, they became, because they had everything, they got all, just from birth they had everything, they didn't have to work hard, and they became disillusioned by the materialism, total crass materialism, and they were looking for something higher. And that is, so Prabhupada was setting the stage there, because then only they will, you know, they had to be looking for something, the spiritual. So that timing there was also not, was getting prepared. And here, India was also um, I don't know, Prabhupada had to be made familiar with all the, different types of people, how to deal with people. Prabhupada, and as a grahastha, so that's why Prabhupada he was a one-man army going around the world training people. He knew everything. Anything you ask him, he had answers for that. One person. For Mataji's also, Prabhu's also, he taught even Mataji's how to tie a sari. By how? He himself tied a sari and showed this is how you must tie a sari. So, everything from cooking, how to cure yourself, because he was a pharmacist and he knew a lot of Ayurvedic medicines, natural herbs. So, everything he knew, and scriptures, of course, in spite of all these busy things, he was such a erudite scholar, um, and he studied all the books, shastras, so wonderfully, perfectly. And also in his dealings, he had many, many friends in society, and how humble he was. Very humble. He moved with everyone in a, with so respectfully. And we see how many people have written about, recollected their dealings with Prabhupada, Abhay Babu, they called him. Um, so, so Prabhupada is, all aspects of his life are equally important, not only his preaching. Most prominent is, of course, when he took sannyas and then he decided to go to the West and his struggle, how to go there. That also all those are great lessons for us because he depended completely on Krishna. Everything. He didn't have any money, no backing, nobody to help him. Imagine he has such a big instruction, go to the West and preach. And then the astrologer said all over the world he'll set up and not one soul to help him. I mean, of course, nobody is alone. Krishna, he showed his personal dependence on Krishna for everything. Guru and Krishna. And they only set up everything for Prabhupada. Everything is coming only by Prabhupada's complete dependence on Guru and Krishna. Nothing else. That is the greatest inspiration for us. That, and Prabhupada also told in America also, all those boys and girls who came, most of them, they had nothing. They were educated and all, they left everything. They were all hippies and all, no money, young boys with no wealth. Later, more people came and they gave lot of wealth and all. But initially, none of them had any money or anything, no good jobs even. They were all, they were just day to day, they were living. And Prabhupada showed them how to depend on Krishna. Even they were thrown out of a place and you can't stay here. They were staying on the road. And that time also they were chanting Hare Krishna mantra. And one elderly lady, she took a compassion on them and she said, okay, you can come and stay like that in a new environment. In America, nobody knew who these people were, and they thought they are very weird, wearing bed sheets and in a ponytails. This is the kind of attitude. And in such a setup, to give the highest value, traditions of Vaishnavism, which even in India nobody is following. He is going and establishing it in America. Only you can do, Prabhupada. Only you can do, and you did it, and you're still doing, and we want to be under your lotus feet. Prabhupada, please, today you have to give your mercy because you are the embodiment of Nityananda Prabhu. And today you're you're most merciful on your appearance day, most auspicious, most greatest of days. And we take shelter of Srila Prabhupada so that he can also empower us to be his servants, simply to do whatever Prabhupada wants. He called his disciples his dancing white elephants. We are not white elephants, but whatever we are um, his followers. So let us take shelter of him so that he is so merciful. And he said, one moment it takes to become pure devotee, Prabhupada. You can destroy all our sins, our offenses, our materialistic attitudes, and whatever, our lack of interest in spiritual life, our so many whatever obstacles in our spiritual life. You can destroy them because you have done it. You have created. Nityananda Prabhu mm, purified one Jagai Madai. You have done millions, thousands, lakhs of them and continue to do. How many? You're still here, very much there, very much watching over everything. He's aware what is happening. So we take shelter of Srila Prabhupada today and beg for his mercy so that we really can. We are not a show bottle devotee. That is his term, show bottle. Don't be a show bottle devotee. We don't want to be show bottle devotees, Prabhupada. Just externally devotee, but internally still asuric tendencies. We don't want that. We want to be truly your follower. Thank you, Srila Prabhupada, for everything. Hare Krishna. Maybe tomorrow all of you can also say it. Sorry, today no time. Now I have to go for the program also. You also must be having now or in the evening.
So Mataji, actually, we'll be going to the temple to the Prabhupada's disappearance day today.
Ah.
Evening
Okay.
program.
Okay, so tomorrow we can have, you all can share
Yeah.
about Prabhupada. Okay.
Thank you,
Thank you
Mataji.
so much, Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mataji.
Srila Gurudev ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srila Prabhupada